Okay, so when I started my walk, it's been how do I put this? Boomerang? I don't know, kind of a back and forth sort of thing. Because I was raised in a Lutheran house, pretty strict Lutheran house. Not so much relationship with Jesus, but very, Lord's Prayer. We read the Bible. We say the Apostles' Creed. We don't really have that relationship, except my Grammy. She was such an amazing woman and had that relationship with the Lord, and he was truly her best friend. And she was definitely an amazing example of how to be a good Christian and how to talk to God and give him all your problems and cast all your cares on him. And I just never really understood how she did that. So growing up and everything, I went through confirmation class in the Lutheran church. But I was, again, that very strong-willed, stubborn child. And so if somebody told me to do something, I didn't want to do it. But I was doing this confirmation class mostly for my Grammy because I wanted her to be proud. And I felt like that was something that she would really appreciate me doing. Little did I know she was proud of me no matter what. And she was always praying for me. She never told me, but I know it. And I know she's still up there praying for me now. But so going through junior high in this confirmation class, and also in junior high trying to figure out who I am and kind of getting into my rebellious stage. Well, more rebellious than I was when I was a kid. I kind of started to fight it a little bit. But at the same time, in junior high, I was dealing with some pretty serious health issues. My whole life I had a blood clotting disorder. It's called ITP. My blood did not clot normally. I would get bruises really bad and bleed very easily. I had to be really careful with activities that I did, and I was always just covered in bruises. A couple times my parents got called into the principal's office at school because they thought something was going on because the way I was so bruised up. And so we had to get all this medical documentation from my doctors to say, no, she has nobody's hurting her, she's okay. But I just had this horrible disease. And so in junior high, it got really bad, and I actually ended up having to go through chemo to help. They thought it would help take care of it. And I got so sick, and I wasn't able to come to confirmation class. And so my parents were trying to work with the church and figure out what I could do, still at home to make it through this class. And pretty much the church that we were a part of at that time said, we just don't think you're taking this seriously. So you can either come and do the class or you can leave the church. And so we left the church. And that was really hard. I still struggle with it now and don't understand that. And I had other family members who were deacons at the church at that time, and I just couldn't understand why they weren't trying to fight for me and why this church wasn't going to come alongside us and all these things that I thought a church was supposed to do. When somebody was in this position, they weren't doing it. And so that hit me really hard. And at that time, I just completely shut God out. And I thought, if this is how the church is going to be, I don't want anything to do with it. And if this is how people who believe in God and follow Jesus and everything, if this is how they're going to be, this is not for me. And that just kind of opened up this door of kind of a spiral, really. I held it together mostly through junior high and high school, and my health improved. I still had the ITP, and I still had to be careful, but overall it was a lot better. But I kept up my good grades, I went to school, but I didn't care. I didn't really care about anything, and I really didn't care about anyone because I was still holding on to all this anger and everything from this situation that happened to me over this confirmation class. And I just couldn't understand it. And I also come from a very German household, I guess is the way I put it, is we don't talk about things. It's just, this is what happened, it's over now, we're gonna move on. So I was never really able to process it or ask questions and figure out why this was happening to me or how I was supposed to go on like this and still have that trusting relationship in God that everybody talks about. So, like I said, I made it through high school. I had good grades. I did what I was supposed to do. I cut school, and I was a little bit wild. But when I finally graduated high school, that's when things really kind of spiraled. And I just thought, I'm out on my own now. I'm going to do whatever I wanted. And so I did. People were kind of commodities to me, so I would use them, get what I needed from them, and then walk away and burn the bridge and start a new life. So I've been married before, 2 times. Neither of them were good relationships on both sides, them or me. We just, again, we got what we needed from each other and then burned the bridge and walked away. And so I started drinking a lot and just partying, and I always had a job though. I was always made sure that I had a job and that I could pay my bills and that I could support the lifestyle that I wanted. And so I did that for a long time. And during that time, my Grammy was still there and she was still praying for me. I know it. And when I was in my second marriage, mid-20s, 25, 26 maybe, my Grammy got really sick. And she was in and out of care facilities and in and out of the hospital, but I always made time to go visit her. And I remember one time I went to go visit her, and she wasn't exactly responsive. She was kind of out of it, and I was getting ready to leave, and she just grabbed me. And she was just holding on. She was a tiny, frail little woman at that time, but she had this like death grip on me. She was not gonna let go. And all I thought was, I need to get out of here, and I need to go to the bar, and I just need to go. And I was struggling with what was happening with my Grammy, and I was struggling with all these things that were happening in my life and these choices that I had made, and so I left. And I went to the bar and I met some friends at the bar. And I drank for a while that night, and then I drove home. And I was almost home. I could see my house, and there's these flashing lights behind me. And I got pulled over, and they ran me through all the tests, made me walk the line, blow in the breathalyzer, and I got my DUI that night. And so I got arrested, and I was sitting in the State Patrol office, handcuffed to a chair, and I was just thinking, what am I doing? How did I get here? And that wasn't even the rock bottom, but I did really start thinking about my choices and what was going on in my life and where I was going. And so I started to make some changes. Drinking less, not stopping, but drinking less. Trying not to party as much, and just trying to get it together. And then I had found out that my husband at the time was also cheating on me. And we were just in such a bad place. And I decided, what's the point? I'm trying to get things together, but my parents don't want to talk to me. My parents are mad at me. my Grammy is going to die any day now, and I don't want to deal with that. I've had these 2 failed marriages now, and this is it. What am I going to do? So I kind of sat in that pity party for a while, and then a couple days later, my mom says, Grammy's going to go. You need to come to the hospital. So I came to the hospital, and I sat with her, and she was out of it. They had her sedated, but we just kept reading the Bible to her because I knew that's what she wanted. And my aunt and uncles, they knew that's what she would want. So we were reading the Bible, and we kept saying, "Fear not, for I am with you." And we would say this verse to her over and over again. And every time we would say it, she would open her eyes, or she would make a sound, and she would be like, or nod. And I mean, she's sedated, so she shouldn't be able to respond to that. But every time we said that, she would respond. And so again, these things start being more clear to me and more clear to me that I need to make changes and that I'm not living the life that I'm supposed to live. And then she passed away. And again, it was very difficult to deal with because she was just one of my favorite people in the whole world. And she was that one, no matter where I was in life, I knew she was praying for me and cheering for me and just begging that I would hold on longer. But I, again, was in that deep, dark place where 2 failed marriages, every kind of job under the sun, I'd had it. I didn't know where I was going. I had no future. Again, what's the point? Now Grammy's gone. I have nobody cheering for me. What am I going to do? So I decided I was just going to end it. So it had been a couple weeks after she passed away. I decided that I was going to end my life. And maybe I got to go be with her. I don't know. So I had rounded up every pill bottle in the house, everything that I could find. And I went and I was in the bathroom. And I was on the bathroom floor and I was just sobbing and bawling and hyperventilating, crying, trying to work through this in my brain, how this was going to happen and what I was going to do. And then I had this moment where I just looked up and I saw my Grammy. And I could hear her say, "Fear not, I am with you." And so I threw all the pills down and I got up and I finally said, "Okay, I can do this. This is not where I'm supposed to be. I know that God can forgive." And so I asked him to forgive me. And I know that he did, but I know that he was also waiting for me to forgive myself. And there's still some things that I have not forgiven myself for. I'm still working on that. But I talked to God about it a lot, and we're still working through it. But yeah, my Grammy came to me, and she spoke those words to me, and literally saved my life. And that got me finally on the right path. And it has definitely been still a bumpy road since then. I fall a lot, but now when I fall, I know that I can get back up, and I know that that's not the end, and that I just can keep going, and that there's always going to be Jesus there to pick me up. And it doesn't matter if there's nobody else there. If my family turned their back, which they didn't, their back, we're all good. Everything's fine then. But if they were to turn their back on me again, or if I lost everything again for whatever reason, it's okay, because I will always have Jesus.